Okay, what does that mean? It means to be ready. Okay, what does that mean? It means to be prepared. What does it mean to be ready? Ready for? Ready for what is a good question.
It means that you anticipate the change coming, you believe you know how you will react, and so things are in place to accommodate whatever occurs.
So you know that there is some event or some moment that is about to take place, and you, I will actually put it not in the passive sense, but I will say that therefore you then prepare for whatever it is you view is going to happen. In the South, we call it fixin' to. We're fixing to get ready to go, which means we're getting ready to go. We also like to say, let's go on so we can get back. That's right. Why leave in the first place if you want to come back? What does it mean to be ready? What are the signs and symptoms of things that you might need to be ready for? Anything. What do you need to be ready for? Well, you need to be ready for church.
A new school semester.
A new school semester. You need to be ready for snow to fall in Michigan, although there is some doubt this year. What does it mean to be ready? Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. For what is a really important question. Are you ready? The gospel tells us that there are signs and there are things that we need to observe. And in observing these signs and events which take place, they are indicators, they are pointers. And we need to pay attention to those pointers. The Gospel of Luke in this apocalyptic literature is referring specifically to the second coming of Christ. Or to that time when, well, we know about it. Here's that big word that we use from time to time. The eschaton takes place. When the end of times take place, the end of times as we understand it, the end of times as we understand it take place. But it doesn't mean that's the end of the world, because presumably the world will go on, only that we will live in a world full of righteousness and justice and peace. Oh my word, wouldn't that be wonderful? What are we getting ready for? First Sunday in Advent, Advent 1, Year C. Welcome to the new year. Happy New Year to all of us.
Getting ready for love to come to the earth.
Getting ready for love to come to earth in the form of Christ the child. That's what Advent is pointing to. That's why we're actually beginning to kind of sing the Christmas story, because we're setting the stage. We're setting the stage for an event which will take place on, of course, December 25th. We all know that that is actually Jesus' birthday, right?
Aren't we preparing for more than just the appearance of a child, Christ as a child, but aren't we preparing for God acting in a new way in the world as never before?
You know, I'm glad that he gets such high pay. What we're preparing for is, I'm going to again rephrase it if I may. What we're preparing for is finding a vision or looking into the world ahead of us and seeking and finding a new way in which God will act in this world. A new way in which God will act in this world. Okay, so what does that mean to each of us? What does it mean to each of us? You know, this getting ready thing is really powerful and really important. I've had some conversations recently with people who have the grace and the wisdom to actually come to me to say, let's talk about my funeral. Let's talk about those things which must take place when I move from this particular form into the loving embrace of God. where God is no longer transcendent, but God is close and imminent. And the embrace of God and the sweet breath of God I can take into my own. What does that mean, to be ready? There are some things, and this is, I think, what the gospel points to. There are some things in this scripture that we are absolutely ready for. When we see the buds on the trees, I know that I need to go to some store and get the fertilizer out that's going to take care of some weeds, and I need to walk all over the yard with that and scatter it in the nicest way possible. I generally leave large lumps of places where I can tell later on that that's not fertilized. When we look at the buds coming on the trees, we know that things are going to happen. When we stand at a crosswalk and we see that the light going across is turning yellow, we know that eventually we will be able to cross. Eventually, depending on the intersection and the state. California, if you step out in that street, it's you against the world. There are some things which are easy to anticipate. The sun is going down, so therefore I need to see to the end of the day, and I need to see to the end of the things that are necessary to finish and complete this day. I need to maybe perhaps have the evening meal, and after the evening meal I then need to fold up whatever things are happening in my world and prepare for rest. Some things are very easy. And then there are some things that happen which we do not and cannot plan for. Even in our wildest imaginations, we cannot plan for that. Such as the day when the family gets up and the mom takes two of the boys in the car and they go out to school, and the father takes the third son in the car and they all head out to school together. The sun is rising up over the horizon. The mother and the two in the front car see the garbage truck and they move around it, and the father driving the truck behind does not see the garbage truck and hits it. You can't prepare for that. Especially if you as the driver are unscathed and the child beside you is dead. You can't prepare for that, can you? It's a hard world. In the Episcopal Church, we are required to remind you. We are required to remind you that you must be prepared. You must be prepared always, as best you can, for the things which we face in life. You are to be prepared as best you can for those times when surprises come. The object of the exercise is to not be as surprised as possible, if that's a phrase which works. This is the sermon where I give you the 5 things. Remember the 5 things? This is the sermon where I give you the 5 things. The first is that you must always, if possible, stay current on several things. These 5 things. One is, the first thing is, for those persons in your life that you love, for those persons in your life that you interact with, for those persons in your life who share with you the journey that you are on, to those persons, we say thank you. And we need to stay current on saying thank you. We need to say thank you every single day and at every opportunity we can. We need to say thank you to those persons. And we also need to say thank you, of course, to an active and ever-present God. That's number 1. Number 2, we need to say, I forgive you. Now, we've talked about this before, and there are some things that happen to us, some things that people do to us, which we cannot, in our deepest prayerful place, we cannot find room to forgive. In those instances, we say, I cannot forgive you, but I pass that forgiveness to God and let God handle it. But generally speaking, thank you, I forgive you. We need to stay current on that. Our accounts need to be paid to the full on that. And we also then need to say the other part of that equation. We need to say, please forgive me. Please forgive me. Thank you. I forgive you. Please forgive me. And then we need to say, I love you. We need to say, I love you. Every single chance we can. Every single day that we can, we need to say, I love you. Thank you. Please forgive me. I forgive you. I love you. So that when the time comes, we are ready to say the last, and that is goodbye. When we look into Advent, we are indeed looking toward a reminder, the birthday of Christ, or the celebration of the birth of Christ, not the birthday of Christ. We all get that. But we're celebrating the Advent, the coming into the world of God with us. God with us. There is no greater demonstration of God's presence with us than in loving relationships of the people that are around us. Our loving them and their loving us. They're loving me. I love you, and I believe that you love me. And this is one of the ways that God, as the child of God who came to the earth as a human being, teaches us to act and to behave with each other. So thank you. I forgive you.